Hey everyone, thanks for joining us with the One Good Reason. I know it's been a while. Friday night we have a amazing discussion set up for everybody. We're going to be talking about sleep habits, among other things. And I do have the largest roster that we've been able to put together since the project started 3 years ago. This time it's going to be chock full of every different type of perspective, hitting the topic of sleep all at once. We even do have a special guest returning, so I'm actually happy and excited for that. But without further ado, I'll go ahead and bring on our roster. Hey everybody, how's it going?
Doing good. How
We
are
have
you?
Justin Downing from the. I'm doing great. I'm bald. I'm drunk. I'm getting there actually, and I know you can't partake, so I do feel bad for you. You got the water in the background to remind us all that you're drinking water. But we have Justin Downing from the Empathetic Atheist Show. We have Joshua Void. Xavier Hayes making his return. Really appreciate him taking the time to join us. We have Adriana Wilson and Oz from the Atheist Roundtable joining us for the first time. Really appreciate it. How's everybody feeling? What's everybody sipping on?
What up, though? I got vodka and tonic, and then Justin's drinking water out of a baba.
No, I'm drinking God juice. It's invisible. I just have faith that it's there.
Some gin and tonic.
Gin and tonic. Josh, what you got going on?
Fucking Captain Crunch. Some Frosted Flakes.
Like together?
Say no more. Say no more. wait. Hold on. No, you have spiked cereal? I don't think he can talk right now. I think he's got cereal in his mouth.
No. We can't hear a word you're saying, Josh.
This is per the.
We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to X. Xavier, what are you guys sipping on right now, man?
I have some gin and juice, some classic gin and juice right now. Yeah.
We got
sipping on gin.
Two gingers. We got two gingers in the group. I almost did gin too. I almost did gin tonight. I'm actually sipping on Tennessee Honey by Jack Daniels. I'm not doing any commercials for them. No sponsorship. Just putting it out there. Shit's fucking amazing. But I wanted to jump right into the conversation. Hopefully, Josh, at some point you regain your voice. Let me know if we're having any issues. I wanted to go around the room. First thing I wanted to touch on are our sleep habits, right? So for me personally, I don't sleep very fucking well. I'm always second guessing how much sleep do I need. And I remember growing up learning something about, you need, 8 hours average, right, of sleep. If you only get, let's say, 6 hours, then you've missed out on 2 hours, right? And every time that you miss out on a minute or an hour, it's all being added up into this abyss of fucking sleep that you never got. And that's why you're fucked up the way that you are, right? And then when you try to get additional sleep, you're constantly battling against this deficit of sleep to get you to status quo or normal. And as I got older, I started looking into that, and I don't know anymore if there's actually any truth to that. So I kind of have it pulled up here from the sleepfoundation.org. I'm 33, and it's saying that I fall in the age bracket of 26 to 64 years of age. It's a fucking huge bracket. And it says the recommended hours of sleep are 7 to 9, but there's no mention of the actual deficit, building up. I tend to go to sleep after watching a movie, or I have to have something on. It can't just be dead silent in my house. I have to actually have a movie on, or be even listening to someone talk. I need you to talk to me so I can go to sleep, kind of a thing. So I have a lot of screen time, whether it's my phone or on TV and shit like that. And I usually, if I'm not watching TV, like if I just am so tired and I fucking pass out in the middle of the night, I'll wake up like mad early and I'll still be tired. So that's just kind of the cycle that I'm trying to break. I'm trying to like find a better way to begin my sleep. I don't want to feel like an old man going to sleep at like 8 p.m., but I'm starting to think that that's what I need to do. But what do you guys want to jump in on with your fucking sleep habits?
Well,
they suck.
Yeah. So as you guys know, I do a show 3 days a week, every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. It starts at 8 o'clock at night, goes to about 9. We start up at 9:30, and sometimes that'll last until 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'll get up the next morning at 6:30 and get ready and go to work. So during those times, I get shit sleep. We're going to be going into another topic here soon that I'll dive into more about this with, but a good recommended is between 6 and 8 hours of sleep for a middle-aged person, somewhere between the age of 20 and 20 and 35, something like that. But screen time, you said, Mike, screen time is horrible for your sleep, especially if, like I said, we'll dive more into it when we get to that point. But yeah, screen time is horrible. Book time is good, but we'll get into more later.
I think I could see that. I think I could see a book knocking me the fuck out. Yeah, I think I could see that happening, especially later on in the evening.
It's more about getting your eyes off of a screen. It's more about the light and the luminescence from the screen can fuck with your eyes and then in turn fuck with your sleep.
Do any of you change the type of light? Like, do you have if you have an iPhone, like I have an iPhone, and at a certain time, like the type of light changes.
Yeah, I use the little nighttime tone on there.
Yeah.
And you can do that, but I believe it's the
blue light filter.
The blue light, yeah, the blue. It's either the blue light and or the combination of the blue and the red light. I'd have to go back and look at it, but even if you do that, it still has the same effect. So I believe Apple, being a genius marketers that they are, have done that to try to make people feel better about it when really it doesn't do much. Yeah. So, but to follow up with what Justin said, some of my mental health diagnosis play into my really shitty sleep. So I have first and foremost insomnia and sleep apnea. Then I'm also ADHD, bipolar, have severe anxiety. So like me just trying to go to sleep in general on a nightly basis is a bitch. So there's been self-medication, medication, all that. And we've still not really found a remedy or, a way to, minimize the impact of all of those different things going on. But what I was looking forward to talking about is, I'm always trying to find ways to get better sleep. I actually, myself and my boss, I work for a furniture store, and we have each store has its own bedding gallery where we do mattresses. So we sell Tempur-Pedics and iComforts and all these different beds. And him and I, for a better part of like 6 to 8 months, did nothing but study on quality of sleep, not quantity. And we did that. So I'm actually excited to get and talk about some of that, because I am an outlier, as far with all my diagnosis. So, not everybody has all of that fighting against them to sleep, but there are some very, very practical things that you can do to improve your sleep, the quality, not the quantity. Because I'm the type, like just last night, I think I worked a 10 or 12 hour shift today. I went on like 2 hours of sleep, and it doesn't bother me. Because the bipolar and all that just keeps me going no matter what, but again, that's an outlier.
What about you, X? You got any gems you'd like to drop as far as your sleep habits? I know you're very organized. You could tell there by the album collection you got there.
Definitely. Yeah. Where do I begin? So kind of like you, Mike, I have problems with sleep as well. But I use ASMR videos to help me doze off to sleep, and it can go into a lot of different things with the different sounds. But hearing something in the background, some type of ambient noise, can really doze me off to sleep. But at the same time, trying to fight to get to sleep, I'm a little bit afraid of going to sleep because I have sleep paralysis. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it's a temporary inability to move or speak while falling asleep, while or upon waking up, falling asleep. So it happens to me at least maybe, I don't know, twice or three times a year. And I wake up, my eyes is wide open, and I can't move. I can't move. I can't do anything. So I in that moment, I feel like I'm in a coma, and I'm trying so hard to snap out of this dream or this pretty much this sleep realm that I'm in, but I can't do it. And eventually, I come out of it. But it's it's a tug of war. It's like I can't go to sleep, and then yeah, I am asleep, but then what if I can't wake back up? It's my type of trouble with it. So yeah,
Is
That's
that
my
scary.
so? Just yeah, it is. It's kind of. I kind of want to get more into that as well. But for those that maybe don't know what ASMR is, could you kind of break down that, because that kind of sounded like a positive for you to have restful sleep.
Cool.
yeah. So essentially, in a nutshell, it's um, to explain. It's just really something that you listen to that may be calming, and it could be very odd little things. Some people may find typing on the keyboard relaxing to them, or chewing gum. Mike, you said just having a TV on or something like that, and you can go to sleep. So something in the background that may be a quirk or something odd to other people, but it's actually soothing to you. I know
Mm.
coworkers that have to have some type of white noise in the office because they can't stand complete silence, and that relaxes them to continue to work and be more productive. So yeah, it's kind of weird. If you look at the videos, I don't watch the videos, but
I was just gonna ask. If you don't mind sharing, is there like a particular niche, like the popping of corn or something that that would be your
I mean, I used to record videos, ASMR videos, which you can't find them online because I took them down. But yeah, I enjoy gum chewing. You know, something about
gum chewing?
chewing. Is kind
Nice.
of,
You know, I did hear that people were very soothed by they had videos of like great white, no, not great whites, but what, like blue whales, yeah, blue whales mating.
oh,
That was actually
Wow.
a
Like
yeah,
Western?
yeah. I mean, there's no video or anything, which kind of
Oh,
sucks.
okay, okay.
but yeah,
Just the
people really
sound of.
like the soothing of.
Why am I thinking of Finding Nemo or Finding Dory? Yeah. Josh, do you have any
Oh yeah,
gems
I
you'd
got
like to?
quite a few, but I mean that's if you can hear me. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we
Perfect.
can hear you.
Okay. So for me, I have horrible sleep. My sleep pattern is absolutely all over the place, and also because I have concussions, a lot of concussions, that when I go to sleep, I stay asleep until I wake up. So the problem is that anything can happen around me and I can still stay asleep. So that's the problem with me is that when I pass out, it's like deep sleep. It's not REM. It's not anything like that. It's a deep sleep, and literally you'll need to like kick me to wake me up. But at the same time, just like your friend Xavier, I do also have a bit of sleep paralysis. But luckily, it is not like my grandfather's, because my grandfather once had a sleep paralysis where he actually saw somebody, or actually a woman, climb on top of his chest and look into his eyes, and she had no eyes or anything like that, just staring at him the entire time. So there's a difference between sleep paralysis where you can't move, but at the same exact time you don't see anything, and you can have sleep paralysis where you can actually see something. And it can be that you feel that there's something in the corner of the room, but you can't necessarily see it. Or you can have an experience where you can see the thing in the corner of the room and it comes right on top of you and stares you right in the eyes. And actually, there's a thing that it was called back in the ancient time the sleep demon, because what it would do is sit on your chest and stare right into your eyes, and you wouldn't be able to breathe or anything like that. And most people would wake up and say that they saw a demon, I couldn't breathe, it was sitting on top of me, so on and so forth. So I would like to get into that conversation later based on the sleep paralysis aspect. But besides that, yeah, my sleep is absolutely horrible. Just horrible. Because at the same time, I don't get to sleep until sometimes 3 o'clock. So when I pass out, I can sleep really late into the day because of my concussions.
I feel shitty now making the joke that we thought you were sleeping, and that's why you hadn't joined the video.
No,
I still think it's funny.
Don't feel shitty. It's
Okay, I'm off the hook.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
Yeah, I got a question,
Yeah.
Josh. You said that you go to sleep and you stay asleep until you wake up.
Yeah.
I found that insane. But then I remembered every human being stays asleep until they wake up.
Okay, no. What I mean to say is that I can literally sleep in like 12 hours and then wake up from that. So I wouldn't be able to get up unless somebody literally like shakes me awake violently, and then after I can wake up. That's what I mean.
So no
So I
sound.
don't have
speak-
that waking up in the middle of the
Doesn't wake up.
night or anything like that. I only have the violent shake, and then I wake up.
How can you keep a job?
Yeah.
I need to go to sleep early. That's how I keep a job.
Don't
I
pass
can
out on
keep-
your break. But all of that was well.
that did happen.
I have a few jokes, but on a serious note though, all of that was contingent on the concussion that you experienced, or is that, do you think any, or multiple concussions? Okay.
Yeah, multiple concussions. So yeah, all
Yeah,
those
and-
are, and also, well, actually, that's not what we're talking about, so I won't delve into that. But anyways, so yeah, so mostly that's all it's about, is that because the concussions kind of like, they damaged the brain in a way, and I had 2 severe concussions, so it took me months in order to sort of recuperate my, what I guess you could say, mental status in a sense. So,
Like your internal clock, but like, what are your workarounds now that you know, hey, I had these multiple concussions, and if nobody does anything or interacts, I'm going to sleep from when I went to bed to probably the next night. You know, what are your
in a
workarounds
sense,
to?
yeah, like that has happened beforehand too. But the workaround is that I keep my alarm right beside me. So what I do is that, you know how people have their alarm up on their bureau or whatever, and after they're able to wake up because of that. Well, for me, I have to keep it literally on my bed, so that when it goes off, it's blaring in my ear, and after I wake up.
You need a pillow with a built-in alarm clock.
Yeah,
Like-
in a sense, yeah, that would be.
Vibrating alarm clocks, actually.
That's a great idea.
That would just
I'm,
make me to
There's like sensors that go underneath your pillow and it like vibrates.
That would be a horrible idea for me, because vibrations.
Oh,
Yeah, so that
Josh
would
doesn't show up to work for a week. Yeah.
actually, Josh, I could attest to the impact of any type of head and brain trauma. I was in 2003. I was in I've been in like 4 or 5 near fatal car accidents, and one of them I actually had to be resuscitated twice. So there's been a lot of those experiences. So I have that, and one of them they did think I had brain damage, so they wouldn't give me pain meds or anything. Now, there's still certain friends and family that argue that I actually do have brain damage, but I digress on that part. But so you have that. Then I played football. I had two different concussions playing football, and then I may or may not have in my 20s been in like 1 or 2 fights, bar fights, that kind of thing, where certain things happen. So there's been a lot of that, and and I do poke fun of it and at it, and I have fun talking about it. But those are things that do impact it, because I do struggle to get to sleep. Now, I can't sleep for 12 straight hours like you do, But when I'm gone, I'm gone. You got to, if you want to wake me up, you got to slap the taste out of my mouth to get me to wake up. So.
Oh, absolutely. And at the same time, the thing that I would have to say, sadly, is that most of my concussions were based on the environment. Now, what I mean by that is that because I'm 6'9", so most things aren't meant for people who are 6'9".
Correct.
So the only one time that I actually did have a concussion based on sports is via boxing. But after that, and getting smashed over the head with a glass. But besides of that, most of my concussions were from literally walking into things head first because I thought that I can duck below it. And I didn't think about how low it was. And I just trapped myself.
I've fucking done it, man. I've walked right into a pole. I just walked right into a pole. You know, I was flipping somebody off. I thought I was big shit, and I walked into a pole. And you know, he came by and he helped me up, and it was very fucking awkward, just very awkward. It was, hey, you're the guy I flipped off. He's like, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So I could see that. You know, maybe there's some tiny concussion that's waiting to affect my sleep. But speaking of, so we have you, Sleeping Beauty, over here, and you know we've got the antithesis, right? There were some people in the group here that are dying for a restful sleep like that, myself included. I kind of wanted to focus a little bit more on the insomnia part of it. If we could, I kind of want to pick up more of the insomnia discussion. Like, some of you kind of shit on my screen time, and I appreciate that, because you know I think I am understanding that I need to break away from so much screen time. It's just kind of a pet peeve of just going to sleep in silence. So I'm kind of like, what can I use to replace that? And I don't know if that's feeding into any lack of sleep that like, am I the producer of my own insomnia?
I have something that can help you. If you like listening to sounds and music and things like that, there are YouTube videos that have, if you type in black screen along with it, it will give you a round of videos to where there's just a blank black screen.
I've never thought of that. I actually listen to like nature sounds and shit like that, but it's always like, you know, the nature. It's always fucking woods and birds and shit. And I never thought of that. So, and the whales, fucking, you know, and but yeah, that's I found that it's always when I'm like going through like a lot of stress. I don't know about the rest of you that experienced insomnia, but for me, it's especially if like something really bad has happened and someone's like, oh, you just need to get some sleep, you know, to get through this or whatever it is. I'll try to get the sleep, but it's just not working. I'm blinking less. It's like I'm fighting going to sleep because my mind is so active on what's going on. Who else would want to share about kind of what they're doing to combat their insomnia, maybe even medication, etc.?
So
or self-medicating, you know, it's always the nightcap, right?
So I battle some serious insomnia, and I've been battling insomnia for as long as I can remember. But I think being in the military, it was like 10 times worse. And when I got out of the military, it was like 20 times worse. I don't know why. You would think it would get better, but it doesn't. And I don't know. Some nights are okay, and then there's some nights that like I watch the sun go up, and there's only like so much Ambien that you can take without being like, all right, well, I don't want Alzheimer's when I'm 45. So, like,
this is true.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried it all. I've tried like meditating, like really deep thoughts where you're like thinking of colors, like changing in your mind, like a internal lava lamp. If you like, would say.
I think X has one of those in his room.
You stare at the back of your eyelids, and you can see how the colors change, and you can see like how the light comes and leaves. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Like I've tried relaxing your fingers all the way down your arms, shoulders, all the way down to your toes, and you know, some days, some nights, you know, that works. Others it doesn't, you know, and then you just have this ruminating like thoughts, and like your mind can't keep quiet for more than like a few seconds, and then that's when you know it's going to be an all-nighter. Exercise works great.
LSD.
This episode has been sponsored by Peroni.
What is it? What is it? Justin's drinking again?
Huh?
What is it?
God water. It's invisible.
You fooled me. Go ahead. Sorry.
Water.
It's the holy water. No, but please continue. Yeah.
It's all right. No, but yeah, I mean, it just, for me at least, it's forever changing. Like once I think that I have mastered it, or I have something up my sleeve that, you know, is finally working.
Yes.
That week it changes, or in the next couple of days it changes, and then I'm just kind of like, so I'm constantly having to battle like tricking my mind into like relaxing and falling asleep, without having to depend on Ambien, which sometimes that doesn't even work, which is amazing and scary at the same time.
No, seriously, I took some, you know, medication a while ago, and it didn't work. It didn't work. It actually caused other issues. I'll just say, to the point where my friends were saying, whatever the fuck it is that you're taking, you need to stop that shit now. So I've tried the medication route. I've tried, you know, I mean, I don't want to be a bad influence here for anyone watching, but yeah, you know, I'll drink 2 bottles of beer, and or I'll do, you know, 2 fingers worth of some alcohol, and that seems to work. But I'm trying to find something better. I might have to try the exercise, maybe. Like, what exactly are you doing? Like running or like sit-ups or?
Cardio is probably the best thing. Honestly, like a lot of people say, like after they do cardio, they're really energized. But for me, even when I first joined the military, like if I run like a good 3 miles, I am like nodding off like really bad. But that doesn't necessarily work every night. For some reason, like my circadian rhythm is just like, no, it's nighttime, you need to stay up and party. Like, I don't know, this is when your mind works the best, because in the mornings when the sun comes up, or in the afternoons, like don't catch me before like 12 o'clock. Like, I am not efficient whatsoever.
And I know you mentioned the military aspect. Of course, I know you and I were in the Air Force. Justin, did you ever experience any insomnia, or any, even if not extreme like insomnia, but like any periods of difficulty in going to sleep? And if so, do you have any reasons behind that you were able to determine, like stress or?
Yeah. So, I was in the Army, so right out of basic, I got out, went to AIT, got a nice comfy bed, and then I wasn't sleeping on a hard plank anymore, getting woken up at 2 o'clock in the morning with trash being poured all over me. So it wasn't normal to me. So I couldn't sleep when it was comfortable. I wanted get the fuck up and throw a green sock on your left foot, white sock on your right foot, dress pants, PT shirt, you know. I wanted that back to be able to sleep properly. And it took me a while to get off of that. You know, some people, when they come home from sleeping on cots, like we'd go out for a 45-day training mission out, you know, in the desert, and we'd be sleeping in tents on like cots. And I'd go back home and I'd get the nice comfy bed, and it was nice, but then I'd have to sleep on the floor because I wanted that hard floor. It's just, you know, getting used to it. So yeah, I had some issues with that, and then we'll get into it when we get into another topic that we're going to talk about tonight. But I had some bad experiences with PTSD and dreaming after I was in Afghanistan.
Oh, word. Yeah, let's go ahead and press on. And now, Oz, I wanted to put this topic in the conversation because I know you specifically had something to share with this, or I believe it was you, or was it you or Justin? I can't remember. I think
It was Justin.
It was Justin. Justin. Okay, yes. I think we'll just go ahead and continue from where you had left off. If that was the next thing I had planned. Yeah.
So I would have, and I still do to this day, have flashback dreams of bad times in Afghanistan. And I didn't want to go to sleep. And that was another issue to where, I was staying up for a long time because I was realizing that I was going to go to sleep. And there's a very good possibility that I might be flashing right back to a time and place that I didn't want to be at. So I actually did some searching, did some try to figure out somebody could help me out with it without having to pay a large medical bill to go to a doctor for them to throw some pills at me. And I was introduced to lucid dreaming. Now lucid dreaming isn't something that you pick up in one day. It's not something that you pick up in 1 week. It's something that you can start to see working, but it takes a long time to do it. But I have firsthand experience that it is absolutely worth it. I will post a link to what helped me in the chat if anybody in here is interested, and I'll post it on the chat for anybody in YouTube on Facebook right now that wants to take a look at it. But basically what I do is when I first started, well, let me explain lucid dreaming first. So lucid dreaming is the ability to completely control your dreams. So when I was in a very bad dream, I had the ability to realize that I was dreaming and cut that shit out and bring in some unicorns and, and rainbows and whatever I wanted to.
Well, hold on. Stop. Hold right there. That's very fucking juicy. So I think I've maybe had a lucid dream when I was a kid, but I've lost that power. Probably. I've lost that ability. So when you're doing the lucid dream, just from my understanding, is that like you're like God, basically? Like you're able to throw lightning bolts, you're able to rip the ground in half, you can do whatever the fuck you want, it sounds like.
Yeah. I'm still, you know what? I'm gonna try paradoxes on my next lucid dreaming night. I'm going to try creating a married bachelor on my next lucid dreaming night. But yeah, so basically you can literally do anything you want to. So you start off by if you remember your dream, you'll wake up in the morning and you're like, I just fucking had a badass dream. That shit was real as hell. And you realize it for about 2 minutes. And then after 2 minutes, you've completely forgotten. You knew that you had a dream, but you didn't know what it was about at all. So what I had done, I had taken my phone, and every morning that I woke up and I remembered my dream, my alarm clock went off, it's ready for work, I would literally talk into a voice recording and record the story of the dream that I had. And what that does is that helps you remember your dreams. It helps you recall your dreams more often. You will dream more often. You will remember that dream more often. And once you do that, you will move on to the next step of what's called a reality check. So throughout the day, I'm constantly taking my hand and I'm taking these 2 fingers and I'm trying to push my fingers through my palm. I know that I'm awake right now because my fingers are not going through my palm. But when I'm in a dream, I could be in a bad place or I could just be having a dream. You'll see something like a clock that's not quite the right time. A lot of times I will see being like a mansion that has 27 bathrooms right next to each other, just a long hall of nothing but bathrooms, and it doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. So I stick my fingers through my hand and they go right through my palm. And that's when I realize, oh, I'm in a dream right now. So what do I want to do? And from there, your imagination takes over, and you can do whatever you'd like. The 6 to 8 hours of sleep I was talking about earlier is definitely important because you need to get into what's called REM sleep or REM. And that's the deepest sleep that you're going to be in that night. That's typically when your dreams will happen. I have used binaural beats. I've also used on YouTube, you can find black screen, lucid dreaming hypnosis. So there's somebody talking to you. If you talk to my wife, she'll tell you she hates Jody Whitley. Jody Whitley is my lady. She's my boo. She
like
helps
the Siri
me,
voice to help you.
Yeah. Well, she will sit there and talk to you like, all right, well, sit back and then let the pressure off your shoulders and let the pressure go down your legs. And then there was one time where I actually woke up and she was talking about let your eyes melt into your skull. And it like got kind of weird, kind of creepy. But when you're asleep, it's totally setting the scene for a lucid dream. Like, I don't know what's going on with it, but it works.
Like whispering like atrocities to you, like light that dog on fire.
Yeah. Like they will talk to you for an hour about walking down a staircase. And that will put you to sleep.
Fucking Rocky Balboa.
And you'll get 3 steps down and you won't remember anything until you're actually dreaming. But that's actually helped me escape some of my bad dreams about, brought me back to Afghanistan. I'm able to be in a bad moment and realize I'm in a dream right now. And then I stop that shit and I bring in dragons. Now, I have to put this warning out there to anybody that tries this. On your first try, don't try and have sex with a bunch of supermodels because you're going to wake yourself up. Chill out.
You gotta crawl. You gotta crawl and then you gotta crawl then run.
You can't do that. You're gonna get too excited and you will wake yourself up out of your lucid dream, and then you're screwed for the night. You might be able to go back into it, but start off small. Start off by like, okay, I'm lucid dreaming right now. Let's make a pencil appear. Like that shouldn't be too terribly exciting. Like just start with little stuff and then work your way up. Like I frequent dragons. Like I ride dragons around like I'm like
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it's however I want to. I'm the Lord of Dragons. Or I will play God for a night. I'll play God for a day and just create my own universe and whatever. It's awesome. It's your God.
Oh, Adri wanted to say something, I think. Oh, hold on, Adri. I got you muted. Hold on. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. So you said something that really fascinated me, and that was you might be able to go back to it. Have you been able to like continue a dream after you've woken up?
Fucking Sims. Wow.
It's rare. But like I'm sure all of you have done it. You've had a bad dream, you woke up, you're like, oh shit, that was a dream. You go back to sleep and you go right back into it.
But the intent isn't to continue a bad dream, right? Like I try to avoid that shit. You're talking about you're the king of just an island where people are throwing rose blossoms for you to, walk on water or whatever the fuck it is that you want to do. And then you're like, oh, I got to go to work. Let me stop this shit for 8 hours. And then you lay down on your couch and you pick up from where your saved game was, and people are worshiping you. And
I'm saying that you can wake up.
That's amazing.
Realize that you're awake, and then a couple minutes later go back to sleep and go right back into it.
Right.
Now, if
I'm
lucid dreaming, I can, if I remember a previous lucid dream that I did and I like hit save and exit, I'm able to load game, right? And I'm able to go right and continue where I left off. Possibility. It does take it took me about a year to really master it. A lot of people don't do it because they get so discouraged. They're like, fuck this, it's not working. I'm not going to do it. I am going to, in the private chat, I'm going to post, I'm going to put that in the chat for anybody that wants to take a look at it. This is the thing that I looked at when I first started learning about lucid dreaming. And it helped me
excellent.
start everything off. I typically read. Well, I don't. I hate reading. But I want to read, or on the nights that I'm really like, I'm gonna lucid dream tonight, I will try and stay away from screens, at least for an hour before I go to bed. Now, I can't relate to the people who on a regular basis can't go to sleep, because you can ask my wife. I'll lay down and 30 seconds later, I'm done. I'm out. I'm gone. I can sleep all day long, all night long. Now, back when I was in the military, it was a different story. But now I can go to sleep anytime I want to, and I don't have that type of issue.
Secretly
but
hate you, but go ahead.
I think the lucid dreaming has helped me do that. Has helped me be able to do that.
You are a lucky man, that's for damn sure, because I don't have dreams anymore. The concussions have completely took away my dreaming.
Check out this site.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. You're right in the fucking middle. You have us on the one side saying, "What the fuck is sleep? We can't find that shit." We have Josh saying, "I hate fucking sleep. I want to live my life." And then we have you in the middle saying, you're fucking tap dancing on water, and fucking all these supermodels. Like, what the fuck is going on? Bullshit.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but it's the booze. It's the booze. So it's not always sunshine, though, as you kind of alluded to. I know I was had to step away for a minute, but I did want to bring up, of course, guys, the negative. We're not going to all just be fucking happy-go-lucky here. I did want to talk about some of the bad shit on a serious note, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nightmares, right, versus night terrors, and I was doing some research and finding out what the difference is, because you kind of hear, both terms interchangeably. I know that nightmares happen most likely during your REM sleep, right? So you've already been asleep for a good amount of time, and the nightmare will, be something so astonishing or so impactful that it'll actually wake you up. It'll wake you up. The night terrors, I noticed, in a couple of things I was looking at, usually happen with children, but can still happen to adults. And the night terrors are stuff that can actually happen as soon as you go to sleep. So for someone like you, Justin, that's passing out very quickly, I don't know, are you ever experiencing something like a night terror where you just went to sleep at, I don't know, 9 p.m. and you're waking up at 9:30 because of a bad dream?
No.
Okay, so you're usually able to
it's typically 2:00 in the morning. I'm flipping out, diving. Thinking that
more
I'm
of a
diving
nightmare
behind
than
a mountain. But yeah, it's more of a nightmare than I don't think I've ever actually experienced a night terror before.
And so for me, I mean, I don't mind sharing. Like, my nightmares are usually, I have two different kinds of nightmares, right? So one will be, everywhere I go, there are just people that are just dead, just laying dead on the floor, like just dead people. And I'll recognize every single one of them. I won't find a stranger. Like, every single one of them will be someone that I personally know, which is fucked up, right? And it'll be eventually hoping, like, this hope that I'm going to find somebody alive, kind of a thing. And that never happens. It just never happens. And then I'll wake up and it's just that dread. And you realize it's a dream, and you're like, oh, that's not real. It's a dream. But the dread, is there. And then before I lay down to go to sleep, it's almost like this Freddy Krueger effect where that might be waiting for me, once I do get to sleep. So I kind of wonder sometimes if that impacts my inability to sleep, kind of like I'm afraid to go to sleep, And then the other type of nightmare I'll have, I mean, I'll call it a nightmare, is kind of the opposite of what I just said. Everybody's dead, right? It'll be like if Justin had died last month, I'll have this dream where Justin is talking with me or telling me a joke, or we're going to go have lunch or whatever it is. And I know that Justin is alive and it's as real as it is right now, as we're talking on this video or whatever it is. And then when I wake up, I have to remember that, no, he's actually dead. And that good dream, actually, I look back at it as a nightmare, because I'm actually living with this melancholy or this sorrow of, man, I was, I had my closure, right, of whoever had passed away, but now I'm having full on conversations with them. And then when I wake up, I have to remember that wasn't a memory, that was a dream, that never happened. He's been dead. He's been dead for a month.
Mourning process.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. Either of you, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Either of you.
No, I was just kind of like reaffirming what you said was like you're kind of having to go through that whole mourning process again that next morning.
Yeah.
Waking hour or whatever.
You reminded me, Mike, with the lucid dreaming thing. Not to go back to it, but remember how I said, try and stay away from things that will excite you. Most of the times, these sites will tell you not to try and have sex with a celebrity or something in your lucid dream. Wait for a while if you want to try it from meeting with a loved one, because a lot of people will lucid dream on having conversations with a past relative or loved one, so they don't have to mourn, so they can keep spending time with them. So that's also something that would get very exciting, and unless you have your skills honed in lucid dreaming, that can turn on you quickly. So
that shit sounds so fucking Black Mirror. It's just amazing. I'm gonna try to. I'm watching Mr. Robot, and there was an episode where he's laying on his back saying some kind of mantra about how to begin his lucid dreaming, I guess, where he can be in control of his sleep or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try it out, man. I give everything a whirl once, and if I'm onto something, I'm gonna follow up with you, man. Hopefully this shit fucking works. Did anyone else feel comfortable with sharing any type of nightmares? I know I kind of just set the bar kind of high there, but I'm just going to be honest. I mean, those are the type of nightmares that I experienced.
Well, and I think depending on experiences and trauma, and even the environment you grow up in can have an impact on those experiences, right? And how the brain perceives it, and what happens as far as brain activity when you're asleep. And this is the one, Mike, when you brought this up to me, and my interest in having this conversation is, I don't know if my experiences were nightmares or night terrors, or maybe it was a combination when I was younger. So to give kind of a background on my youth, my childhood, I grew up in a home that was, to the public, a very clean-cut Christian home, right? To the public, we were just the perfect family. We literally had a little white house with a little white picket fence. My mom was a praise and worship pastor. My dad was an usher, and he had a great job. And, everything just looked really fucking cute from the outside, right? But once you stepped into the four walls of that home, it was a fucking nightmare. Being wide awake, my dad, the usher, was extremely abusive, physically, emotionally, psychologically, to my mom, to myself. It was a disaster. It was a fucking disaster. I never felt, at that point in my life, I never felt loved. I never felt like anybody cared. There was all of those. There was all those things going on. Then you lump on top of that the fact that back then mental health was like, you don't talk about it. You don't talk about it. And even with my ADD and ADHD, they would, in the middle of a class, come down and call me out in front of an entire class. Austin, you have a nurse's pass to go take all your meds because you're nuts. So wow. I would walk out of the class, but I'd go to the bathroom just out of pure, just feeling embarrassed and humiliated, in front of a class, so I don't know how they handle that, today, but that's how it was back then. When back then, kind of getting so fucking old, but it's but that's what time it was, so you the reason I say all that, because I think you need to have that backdrop, when I start sharing my experience as far as night terrors nightmares, because I think that plays into the entire picture. So, and when I say that it was a very Christian household, it wasn't your subtle Christianity. It was the extreme evangelical, Pentecostal, speaking in tongues, slinging oil, hanging from the chandeliers, running around the sanctuary, that kind of Christianity, right? Where I was told mental health isn't really a thing. What mental health is you're not praying enough. You don't have enough faith. You don't believe enough. You don't, all of those things. And when you're told that at a young age, you're like, okay, well, mom and dad have to be right. Youth pastor has to be right. Maybe I'm just not. Maybe I'm not a good enough Christian. So there's that. That's the. Now you have kind of the stage that I was set on. So there are two things that I still remember vividly. I just last weekend turned 39 years old. I had
happy birthday.
Thank you, and I got married on my birthday. So
hell yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And
Wow.
she's the most amazing woman, the most perfect woman for me with all of the stuff you guys are learning about me. I could tell you she's the perfect fit for me. But you that kind of sets the stage for this. So I had two, nightmares, and I really do the studies I've done. I kind of link them, nightmares and night terrors. I really do. So one was as I was falling asleep, and I would I remember like fighting it, like I didn't want to fall asleep because I would start to hear footsteps in the grass outside of my bedroom. Like I could hear these footsteps coming up to my bedroom. And I remember thinking, whoa, no, I know this sound and I know what's getting ready to happen. And I would fight it. Right. And the footsteps would get closer.
Like a nightmare?
What's that?
Was that a precursor for a nightmare?
Yeah. Yep. And it was like I already know what's going to happen. And I would fight it, like don't fall asleep. Eventually, I would fall asleep. And so the way my bedroom was set up, my headboard was against one wall, and there was a window to my right side. And then at the foot of my bed to the left side, there was another window, and the footsteps would come from the window at the foot of my bed, and I would hear it coming up, and I would try to fight it, and I'd wake up. Wake up or whatever, make myself like, no, you're not going to sleep. Then I would start to, kind of nod off again. I'd start hearing those footsteps again. Well, eventually I'd fall asleep, and I would wake up the next morning, and I would be in a fetal position, curled up next to the window at the foot of my bed. And it always fucked with me because I was like, is there somebody actually coming in my window and taking me? Like what is going on? And that haunted me because I didn't even want to ask my mom and dad because I felt like if I even said something to them about it with the religious background, it was like, well, it must be the devil. It must be Satan. You must be doing things that we don't know about, that Satan has taken a hold of your life, and now he's controlling your thought life and your imagination and all that. So there was that one. And that one, again, I remember it even at 39. I remember it vividly. And I was a boy. Like I was a boy at that point. And the other one, right around the same age, I would fall asleep, and and the dream would start, and I could actually see my bedroom for what it was in real life. But in my bedroom, coming in the cracks of the windows would be tarantulas, scorpions, all that coming through the cracks of the windows.
Are you afraid of scorpions and tarantulas?
What's that?
Are you afraid of scorpions and tarantulas?
Nope. In real life, I love them. I love snakes. I love all. Like I'm a freak. I love.
I love scorpions. That's why I asked.
Yeah, no, I have zero.
Eggs, so you're saying fuck yes.
I know, right?
So
Hey,
there's really
I love it all.
there's no inherent, fear or intimidation of those, and there'd be, like the centipedes and millipedes, like all these things coming through the cracks, right? And then there was a, how like red ants march in a line?
Yes.
They're always in line. So there were these red ants, but they're the most, like, I can't even describe it, the most fucked up, scary looking red ants that you've ever seen,
like
that were coming
and big and like vibrant.
Well, and they just looked super deadly. Like that.
I had a mishap with ants. I had a mishap with ants a few months ago. Well,
yeah, but it's one bite killing you. And in the dream, and I probably had this dream at least 24 times, just like the other one. And what I did is, now mind you, I'm in a water bed. Okay, I'm sleeping in a water bed at this point. And in the dream, I would see all this happening, and I would, as a child, I knew that, okay, we keep all of our chemicals like bug spray and all that shit up above the washer and dryer. Out by the living room, we keep it up above the washer and dryer. So I would go, in my dream, I would go out there and grab. God, I still remember like yesterday. I would grab the can of Raid, and I would run back in my room. And as soon as I would start to spray all these bugs to try to kill them, guess what came out of the Raid can? More poisonous bugs. More poisonous bugs came out of it.
But what did that mean to you? Were you afraid? Were you frustrated? Were you anxious? Because I feel like there's a lot of like symbolism there.
It's well, I can tell you at that point in my life, I was scared of everything, and I trusted no one. Okay. I trusted no one. I didn't trust my parents. I didn't trust my sibling, anything like that. And then what my parents, and this is where, I always try to that's brain activity that, I will, you can never convince me that is spiritual activity. That's just brain chemicals reacting to what we go through, what we experience. But then my parents, when I finally did start to talk about these things and share, because I was on a waterbed, and I kid you fucking not, this is what they said. Well, did you notice in your dream that anytime you were on your waterbed, and now mind you, to Christians that are super crazy, that water represents the Holy Spirit, that anytime you were on the waterbed, you were safe. You were safe. And I look back at it now and I'm like, oh my God, no wonder I was crazy. No wonder. Like, I just needed to talk to a therapist, and you guys just told me that my bed is the Holy Spirit. But to go back to the point, Mike, for the show, those
holy water bed.
Yeah, right. But those are the things where you're, whether it's childhood or the, things you grow up with, the people you grew up with, impact how your brain works and responds. And I can tell you right now that both of those were 100% attached to, or at least linked to, the abuse, the trauma, the manipulation, the lack of trust that I had in the two people in my life that I should have trusted the most, my mom and dad. Because remember, all of those, I've never had any type of vivid nightmares or anything like that I did in that house with them. I've never had anything like that. Once I moved out, never experienced it. Never. So it goes back to just the lack of trust, the trauma, and all those things. So I'm sorry that was long-winded, but that was
no.
There's a lot of components there.
It was fascinating. You know why? Because especially when you said ants, and I don't know.
I cringe when you say ants.
We're gonna get into symbolism like later, but ants to me, I was like,
we can do it right now.
Okay. All right. So, boom, symbolism. So, ants.
Dynamite.
I've had my fair share of therapy after the military, and I've experienced ants in hypnotism and in dreams. And apparently, according to my therapist, is that ants represent like an unhappiness with your routine. So if these were the kinds of dreams that you were having whenever you were unhappy at home with your parents, it kind of goes hand in hand with what she had mentioned. So I found that very interesting.
Yeah. My like I said to the public, you know, life was good at the Mills
Exactly.
residence, but once you once you got behind those four walls, it was like y'all are fucked.
No, I can't help to keep making a correlation. I'm not sure who's watched the show Dexter before, but that's my favorite show. The Trinity Killer.
I would love to be Dexter.
The Trinity
I didn't get
Killer.
to finish it.
I didn't get to finish it either. I didn't get to finish it either.
Do you know of the Trinity Killer within the show Dexter?
Yes.
Spoiler alert for anyone who
It's-
hasn't watched Dexter.
Exemplifies exactly what you're talking about. A home to where it's the white picket fence. It's the tire swing out in the front yard. It's the let's let everybody know that we go to church and we're members of the church and we love everybody and it's great. My son, he plays for the basketball team and they all get good grades and it's just a perfect family. And then you step inside of the house and it is just a complete hellhole. The wife is scared to speak to the husband. The kids are scared to do anything because they might piss dad off. Now, I don't want to say that's how it was, but the way that you're explaining it, it sounds like I keep going back to this Trinity Killer within the show Dexter.
No, it's very similar to that, and yeah, it was. Now I look back at it as a man, husband, father, that I and my wife from her previous marriage and my previous marriage, we have 6 kids together. I would never, ever allow any of my kids to feel the way I did, or our kids to feel that way. But I know I can't read. Somebody wanted to go back. I can't. My contacts are all blurry. Somebody.
Oh yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
go back.
I think Josh wanted to drop a gem there, and yeah, Josh, if you wanted to, please by all means, definitely really humbled. If you wanted to share some of your nightmares, I know this is public for everybody to be watching. But yeah, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I do apologize for messing up the flow of the entire
No,
show.
No, it's like a lava lamp, remember?
But Josh, we just need you to scream into your telephone.
Okay,
Yes.
I'll definitely scream. How about this? Is this better?
No.
Because for me, when I was younger, because I only had nightmares and night terrors when I was around 4 until my first concussion, which was at the age of 13. No, 12. And then after that, I never had a nightmare again because I didn't have dreams.
Like you can remember them.
Oh no, like I don't have any. I even went to the doctors and
Like
stuff
you did a sleep study and you just don't
and
REM.
I don't have dreams anymore.
Your doctor's a liar.
It could be, but I don't have dreams. All right, that's what they say.
I have faith.
But,
in you.
Interesting.
The one thing
fascinating.
Pardon?
No, that's fascinating. That you don't hit REM, that you don't, get to for your brain to like exercise, because I mean, I feel like that's kind of like when your brain gets to really freestyle, really.
Oh, absolutely. But for me, it goes from sleep to deep sleep, and that's it. Like I don't have a REM. I don't. But
well,
So the last. Oh, I was just going to say the last time you remember having a dream that horrified you
I always used
was
to have dreams that
preteen.
You do?
Okay.
Yeah, like no, not anymore. I mean, when I was younger.
13.
Yeah, so 13 and before that, I always used to have dreams, and every single one of my dreams were nightmares or night terrors.
2 years ago.
Secretly hate you, Josh. Secretly hate you. But go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
when I was young, and I think that it was when I was 5, I used to constantly have this dream of this old guy who kept on sort of like following me, and each time whenever I tried to escape, he would just get more terrifying and more terrifying. and no matter where I would go. So how the dream would start, and this fucker had a theme song, it seemed. Every time, whenever I passed out, there was always like this creepy violin sort of playing within my dream, and then he would appear at the foot of my bed, and then everything would just fall through. So I would literally fall through my bed and onto like a street or into a dungeon or into something. And after I would need to try to escape this old guy, and every single time it seemed that he was like playing with me. So he would appear for a few seconds, but he wouldn't talk. He would just make like this really weird noise, like this gurgling type of sound that he had like his tongue cut off or something like that, and he just couldn't speak. But he would have sharp teeth, and each time whenever I would run into him, he would be even more terrifying, and his head would slowly start to be torn apart and stuff like that as he would keep coming after me. And people, whoever would try to save me, would end up being brutally murdered or whatever, from parents to friends to everything, would just be torn apart and sort of consumed by him. And he would just keep coming and coming and coming. But at one point, there would be my grandfather who would come in, because me and my grandfather were close at that time, but sadly, he died when I was 5. So he would come in and save me, or potentially save me from this old guy. But in the end, he would die from him. And then I would be torn apart. And then I would wake up and not want to go to sleep again. But whenever I had that dream with that old guy, I was unable to leave that dream until that dream came to an end. But any other dream or that I had that was also terrifying, it was a night terror. So I would be able to wake up like 30 minutes afterwards. But whenever I ran into that old guy, it was a consistent, literally from the time I went to bed, so at 9, until I woke up at 7.
So do you interpret that dream to have some type of meaning when
Seriously, the only thing that I can think of is that because of my grandfather passing away, maybe it was me trying to cope at such a young age that he was gone in a sense, and that's why he was always the one that was there at the end before I was torn apart. That he was the one always trying to help me out, but then in the end, he ended up dying, and then I end up dying right after he dies. So I think it was just my brain coming to terms. I don't know why I had to die, but I guess it's my brain coming to terms with that he wasn't coming back, type of thing, and that death, in a sense, is final at the age of 5.
Jesus.
So, yeah, I think that's what I interpret it to be. Or I was just terrified of old people. I don't know. But one of the two. One of the two is either I'm super freaked out of old people and I just didn't know it, or that I was trying to come to terms with my grandfather's death.
And those type of dreams have completely dissipated. In fact, no dreaming, it sounds like, at all.
None. Right after my
13
concussion,
and onward.
none.
Man.
Like seriously,
You know, that makes me
times where I wish that I can go back to my dreams again or whatever, but I'm unable to do that.
I beg to differ, but you know,
Well,
that does make me think of
remember your dreams. Is it possible that like your mind is keeping you from remembering?
It could, like, seriously, it could be, but the thing is that when I was younger, I could remember every dream, like every dream, every step, everything that I can possibly, every move that I literally did, every person's face that was torn apart by that old individual, I can remember. But after that, I can't remember a single bloody dream. Like after my concussion.
I think you made a really good point that you record all of your dreams like as soon as you wake up, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was
yeah, exactly.
Justin, I think too.
Yeah, I think and you're unable to recall, or like later on in that day you're like, you know what, that sounds really familiar. Like there's no correlation like whatsoever. How is your physical like wake life? Like are you healthy? Like
yeah, I work out.
No.
I eat well. I eat as
Did you
good,
see what he was
best
eating
as
for
I
dinner?
can. The only thing, as I stated, which is the only thing that I stated is my sleep pattern is kind of off, but at the same
Cinnamon
time,
Toast Crunch.
exactly. They're great.
Exactly.
I call it like I see it, man. You know,
You got to see the Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Well, actually, it's not appealing right now.
No, bro.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie.
should have used chocolate milk.
I don't know when's the last time like I bought some Cinnamon Toast Crunch, because my guilt can like overcome itself. Like at the grocery store, like, do I really need some Cinnamon Toast Crunch? But I mean, if you can buy some, and
The answer is yes. The answer is yes.
No, if you're gonna buy Cinnamon Toast Crunch, you also have to buy French vanilla ice cream and mix it, and then that's that real shit.
Is it Bluebell though? Is what
That's
I
that real shit.
Is it Bluebell?
To me, if Cinnamon Toast Crunch is involved, it doesn't matter.
Xavier,
I see you.
what's
I see
your
you trying to.
Yeah,
favorite-
yeah. I wanted to say, Oz. I know you mentioned that your folks were directly related in heavy religion, etc. And then right now we're kind of talking about dream interpretation. I know X had something he wanted to add about the whole concept of dream interpretation, as him growing up and etc. If you wanted to steal the stage here for a moment, X, feel free to
It's gonna give it to us.
share.
That's gonna give it to us. Don't give it to us. And actually, for the record, actually, before you start, and I'm not still on stage at all. I'm actually there's high anticipation from me, because not only did I grow up in that household, but my mom, by trade, like she was a music pastor, but her professional career was a behavioral analyst. As ironic as that is. And she and her sister, my aunt, claim to be dream interpreters. So I'm actually very intrigued to hear what you have to say, and I've been looking forward to that. So I'm kind of glad that we got the climax at the end. And X going to give it.
little DMX, yeah. Very similar to yours. I came from a very religious background as well. Being that I was a pastor child, my mother was a minister, female pastor in the 90s, and I was a PK. So, reciting everything from Bible scriptures and getting everything prepared for church in the morning, and funny thing is actually developing my musical talent of playing the drums and the keyboard, and that continued on for many years in my life. But in all of that, with dream interpretation, one of the family members could interpret dreams. And so I would go to this person and I would explain what type of dream, whether it's a good dream or a bad dream. And it's like a freaking genie, but I guess a Jesus psychic that will tell me my fortune or misfortune through this dream that I had. So I would live my life vicariously by my dreams, and it really took control of me, of everything. I remember some of the things I was taught to look out for in dreams. Hell, if I remember now, because I had to unlearn all of these things. But it was really looking into what was happening in my dreams and seeing if it would come to pass. Being that I was doing all of going and explaining to this person about my dreams, and if I know things was kind of going in the wrong path, and I didn't want these things to happen in my reality, I would control my dreams. I would have lucid dreams, and I was having lucid dreams when I was very young, probably, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years old. And I didn't realize how I was doing that, but I guess that was my mutant ability to be able to shift things around. Now, I couldn't really control my the dreams in a sense of, let's say, the dream starts and it's a Sims game or whatever, and I just build things. I'm kind of put in a story and a scenario, and I can shift it. So if I want to fly up in the air, I can do that. And it's funny thing too. Somebody said that they don't have don't try to have lucid dreams or having sex. Each and every time I do that, I wake up and I can never return back to my dreams. But in the sense of all of that, I had to unlearn everything. So I would go to this person. This person would simply tell me, in the Christian faith, what these dreams meant. So I remember one time, one of our family members came to this person, and she was explaining that she saw a what they call those birds, those storks or whatever, and she said, "Oh, that means you're going to have a child, or if you see fish in your dreams, that's mean you're going to have many children." So I'm like, "Oh, okay." So that's pretty much how my childhood ran when it came to dreams. Dominated by the Christian faith and the gatekeeper of dreams. And we nicknamed this person Vision, another mutant of time. But yeah, that's pretty much how I really lived with dreams, with interpretations.
I would be interested in meeting with whoever this Jesus psychic is, because I had recurring dreams as a child of walking through a backyard. It was, I don't know whose backyard it was, but I had recurring dreams of walking through a backyard. And as much as I tried not to, every step that I took, I stepped in a pile of dog shit. And then I'd take the next step, and it'd just be a pile of. And I'd like to know how they would interpret that. Like, what would they say that means?
You're waddling in your own shit in the name of the Lord, probably. It's like, I don't know.
That's because you're just an atheist asshole, Justin.
No, this is when I was.
This is Coming to America, but the atheist version. You're.
But if on a serious point, if I can jump in there, and X, thank you for sharing that, because there were many similarities that you just shared that I've heard, that that I've experienced. And the sad part is everything that X just shared and everything that I just shared regarding some of what Christian families say are interpretations of these dreams. There are literally Christian websites that try to explain spiritually and religiously why you're having these dreams. And not one of them that I've read so far, and if you are out there and you're listening and you have a source, please send it to me, but not any of them that I've read so far ever cite science, biology, studies, brain scans, the chemical makeup of somebody's brain. Like they don't discuss any of that. It's simply just still hooking people onto a religious belief, and trying to use those dreams to control the mind of a human, rather than actually freeing them from a nightmare or a terror or a repeated nightmare like what I experienced, and that's sad to me. It's sad to me, and certain points, frankly, it pisses me off. It pisses me off because it's like, now that I've done my own research and went to therapist and had my fucking brain scanned, it is just that. It's the human brain doing crazy things. So X, I appreciate that. I appreciate that you opened up and shared your experience and what even some of the things that you were told, as a Christian boy growing up, that as Christian boys, we're not supposed to have all those bad dreams unless we're doing bad shit.
I
Right.
mean, I think it's just a form of controlling. It's really to manipulate you and to keep you headstrong and to keep you in line. And even if you're having a bad dream, then yeah, you're doing something wrong. You're doing something that you shouldn't be doing, and that's God's way of saying to you, to wake up. But it's none of this is proven. I would say proven to be true. So how dare somebody use their assumptions to control? That's not right.
Yeah, and going back to not to be funny at all, but there was I think Mike made a joke earlier with Dustin about supermodels. So what about I was previously married for 16 years. I was single for a while now. Just remarried, and I've never cheated on I never cheated on my ex-wife, and I have no plans on cheating on my wife that I just married. But I've had dreams where it just happened in the dream, right? We got it on. We did. That doesn't mean I'm actually going to do it. That doesn't mean I have intentions to do it. That doesn't, I can't control the brain activity, right?
Striking vipers, Black Mirror. Yep.
You lust for a woman, you've already committed adultery in your heart, even if you're not.
Justin, there's a joke that I want to make right now, but I'm not going to do it because we're live. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. But X, no. Well, the other thing.
You're on Tiger Talk, bro. Go ahead.
Side topic off of the dreams for a minute. You caught my attention that you said that you grew up in a religious family and you were a drummer and I think you said a piano player, right?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Okay, so we are brothers from different mothers, because that was me. I grew up religious and I was a drummer and I don't know what kind of music you guys played, but we were that was me. And
same three.
Yep, absolutely. Three chords, and you watch them sling the oil and run around the gymnasium or wherever.
I see a new YouTube show starting up. Tales from the Christian Crypt with X and O.
X and O. XOXO.
It looked like Adri was about to say something a minute ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This whole dream interpretation has me really interested on if anybody here is familiar with Sigmund Freud and his studies on that, and I would love to hear about that.
Yeah, from what I remember with Sigmund Freud, he didn't find any use for dreaming in and of itself, other than it being a mechanism to keep you asleep so that you were able to maintain what your nourishment as far as sleep, recharging the body and things of that nature. He actually would side with Josh as far as the best sleep would be a dreamless sleep. So really, dreaming is supposed to be a distraction. It's supposed to be something to keep you occupied, right? And it's one of the. I'm glad you brought up Freud actually, because it would actually be a shame to not bring him up when talking about dreams. If I'm quoting him correctly, or if I'm understanding the information correctly, he mentioned that you know, almost like talking about determinism, how we have all these influences and experiences going on. Maybe things are being stored
Oh
in your
God.
in your subconscious, right? In the unconscious mind. There might be, you know, I'm almost reluctant to make eye contact with the camera saying this, but there might be, we'll say John
Look,
Smith,
look at me.
who who I don't know, walks up to his mom and the button of her blouse of her shirt is undone, right? So her cleavage is showing, and he happens to catch that cleavage, and he's like, "God damn it, mom! You know that fucking cleavage." But at the same time, he gets a little excited about that cleavage. Now he's like, "Wow, that's gross." But in this in his unconscious mind, that's being stored, right? That I had this attraction to my mom's cleavage, right? When he goes to sleep, Freud was talking about something called a sensor. So you can think of it like a knight in shining armor. And the sensor's job is to block all of that shit, right, from being active in your mind. And the idea is there's so much of this shit, right? There's piles of feces. There's someone taking a dump on your chest. There's your mom's cleavage. All these things you don't want to think about that, you know, you might actually secretly like or whatever it is. All that stuff is boiling over and it's becoming too much, and something's going to give. Either you're going to have a psychotic break or something has to happen. So Freud is saying that there's some type of evolutionary development, such as dreams, to where those ideas, such as your mom's cleavage, gets transformed into a more tolerable version of information, and the dream kind of acts like a pressure valve, right? To where now it's not your mom's cleavage, but it's a stranger that you don't recognize in your dream, who maybe your mom was religious and is praying beside your bed in your dream, and you fall off of your bed and land on top of her, and it's this awkward, I don't know who this is, but you know, you're kind of getting off to this weird awkwardness with this religious person and their cleavage. And then you wake up and you're like, wow, I had this weird dream about some lady in my room who was praying, and she's wearing clothes kind of like my mom's, but I didn't recognize her face, and her cleavage was just out, right? And that's kind of Freud's explanation as to, you know, some of these types of dreams that, well, you know, you're having, is that your mind is trying to process some of this nasty shit that you really don't want to think about, and it's kind of coming out in these weird fucking dreams. So Freud might have been onto some things as far as you know, we're constantly censoring, you know, when you're thinking about getting a Mother's Day card, right? The other side of the sensor, the other side of that wall is you know, about face, right? Like, you wouldn't want to ever admit that or say that or even think about that, but the you know, animalistic, the primal part of your mind might be in fact thinking about this. It's just, it's crazy to think about. It's crazy to think about. But you know, you brought up Freud, so I wanted to throw that on the table.
No, totally.
And
Real quick,
cleavage.
Mike.
I don't know how many times I said cleavage.
You bring in
Mike-
cleavage and I bring
Mike-
a cigar, okay? I'm just
Oh God.
Is it a Cuban?
Mike,
You know, I almost brought mine out.
Don't say it on camera.
Mike, it's crazier to think about the way you interpret that than the actual way that it should have been interpreted. All of a sudden, we found ourselves talking about moms shitting on chests.
Yes.
no, to each their own. To each their own,
Yes.
you know?
I tried to use
It
the
was
most
like-
ridiculous analogy possible. Yeah.
Directly praying directly afterwards.
You did.
Praying next to your bed, you're in your dream, and you fall off the bed, you land on top of this woman, but for some reason you can't recognize the face, but you know that dress, right? And you know that cleavage.
Yeah, if that was your implant and your goal, bravo.
Red pill or blue pill? No, I'm kidding.
And I just can I ask one question real quick?
No.
Yeah.
Does X ever smile?
Only in his dreams. Only in his dreams.
Only in the dreams.
No,
It was all the dream.
I'm kidding. But actually, X, I kind of have you teed up. Maybe yourself or Josh. Actually, you and Josh, I believe. Speaking of shitting on chests, uh,
Oh, Jesus.
no, I don't have a banner shitting on chests, but false awakening and sleep paralysis. I know both of you spoke about kind of having the sleep paralysis, and I think Josh, I think you had brought up the weight on your chest. So this is kind of a segue to that. I might have something to add with false awakenings. But yeah, would you guys want to kind of speak on more of the sleep paralysis aspect of your experience with sleeping?
Absolutely.
And Josh, really quick, if you're going to speak, please don't speak through the pillow. Like, speak into the microphone, remove the pillow.
Okay, I'll do my best. All right, but Xavier could go first. I'll if he wants to.
X gonna give it to you.
Oh, well, okay. So, you know, pretty much in a nutshell, it is what it is. You're asleep and then you're awake, but you can't move. I'm more curious about the people that have those experiences that the witch or the demon is laying on top of them. I never experienced that. And furthermore, those demons are laying on top of them, when they're getting any type of action or pleasure about it. I mean, what is the demon point of just laying on top of you and it's staring you in the eyes? You know, I heard this one story from Bobby Brown, Whitney Houston husband, in case you don't know who he is, you know, said that he had sex with a ghost. So I'm curious about the demon and how he sex with a ghost. I've never experienced that in my life. I don't know how that is possible, but there have been counts of maybe people saying that that's true, that these demons are all laid on top of them. And what are they wearing? What are they getting out of this? I really want people to really investigate that. Because is there some type of sleeping going around with the demon? I never experienced a demon.
Shit, sorry, man, you got me on fire right there. Damn.
Okay. So I can't
Right.
necessarily. I mean, oh, sorry, was I interrupting someone?
No, dive in. I'll talk that.
Okay. So
Deep
I
dive.
feel like as though I've kind of been an atheist for a really long time, even though I was brought up Catholic, like really strict Catholic. I kind of looked past it
Preach.
and had my own belief. And I kind of always had these sleep paralysis, false awakenings, like throughout all my teenage years, my 20s, my 30s. It's just kind of always been present, and I just kind of always excused it as some kind of like mental health thing, like, you know, maybe I wasn't getting enough exercise, maybe I wasn't eating enough I don't know, je ne sais quoi, like protein. I don't know. I just always excused it to some kind of deficiency, or whether it's, you know, mental, whether it's, you know, physical, whether it's nutritional. I just kind of always excused it to that. And I don't know, like sleep paralysis and false awakening have always kind of followed me, whether, you know, I followed the most healthiest habits, you know, that I could find on the internet, or, you know, that I followed from my doctor, mental or physical. And I don't know, I really couldn't find a fix for it. So it was just kind of like, well, this is just something that I gotta deal with. But I have to say the sleep paralysis is probably the worst one, because you're completely helpless and you can't move. Sometimes, actually, no. Since the first time that I ever experienced it, someone was always there. I woke up in my dream, and like the first time I experienced it, someone was in the doorway of my bedroom. Freaky as shit. Like, so freaky.
Slender Man.
So freaky. Someone was just standing, like, and I can't even tell you what they look like. It was just an outline of a person. It was a shadow. Very cliche. They had like I don't know, a hat on, like a brim hat on, and I can only see their outline, and they were in my doorway. And then as my stress levels got worse, they were like closer, like to my dresser. And then when my stress level, when my stress levels were like at their peak, it was a little boy, and he had a lampshade over his head. And I said, "What the hell are you doing here?" And he said, "Well, we live here." And then I woke up, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm officially crazy. I am officially crazy right now. And but that was my kind of like sleep paralysis moment. I literally was in my room. My furniture was there. And there were times that like I literally woke up, or I felt like I woke up, and everything was fine. And then I kind of would go back to my dream state. So it was very mixed up. Like I didn't know whether I was awake, whether I was asleep. And if I woke up, I could go back to sleep and I could continue my dream. And it was just so bizarre, so bizarre. I haven't had that experience since like my most heightened state of stress. But I have experienced times where I feel like I'm awake, and people that or beings that are no longer here on Earth are alive. Kind of are there, and it just kind of fulfills that void because they've passed, and my mind is kind of like, I don't know, I'm assuming like trying to cope with it, you know what I mean?
And Mike, if I could jump in there, can we?
Yeah.
If we can all just kind of acknowledge a trend
Yeah.
right now. Some are on this side of the spectrum, others on this side of the spectrum, and that's not any of them being minimized, because they're all
it's in your mind.
They're our perceptions are reality, right? So there's no minimization of what we've felt and experienced and went through, regardless of the level of trauma or abuse or experience, whatever. But notice a lot of the things that we're talking about have or are directly either have or are directly linked to a physical traumatic experience.
Totally.
Exactly. Some type of trauma.
An emotional traumatic experience, a psychological traumatic experience, or I know some of mine that that I did not share, because the two I shared were the most vivid for me, but the other ones were psychological, emotional, of just feeling abandoned and feeling left alone, and that I had to fend for myself and fight for myself, and that I could not depend on a single soul, that I had to do every fucking thing on my own, right? And it boiled down to that, even though everybody around me said they were for me. Everybody around me said that they were my biggest fans. Sorry, what did you say? I'm sorry.
It takes so much mental strength to deal with that.
Right.
And learn that.
Absolutely. So when you're investing that type of no, let me rephrase that, because I'm in my career, I oversee, when we're fully staffed 60 or 70 salespeople. If you know anything about salespeople, they are very emotional people, right? So they're emotionally involved, and they need to feel accepted, and they need to feel motivated, like that people care about them. They want them to win. They may say differently, but I am a salesman, so I get it, and I'm always trying to push them forward. But those things are so important. And guess what? When you lack those things, and now going back to the dream life, and especially in your youth, excuse me, you don't have those things. All of a sudden, you're lacking, and you're putting all this energy into figuring out, where do I find that support? Where do I find that love? Where do I find that that sense of acceptance, and just finding that center, and until then, guess what? All these dreams, like for me personally, that's what happens. And it's stressful, because it's like, I don't want to do all this. I would rather put my energy into something else, and it keeps me up at night. Once I wake up, and I know I'm kind of scrambled there, but it's there's so many things that play into the mental makeup, the
Psyche.
the chemicals in your brain that you don't, because you have a God claim, you don't just get to say, well, but God, and just write it off into an interpretation of a dream. No, it is, and again, I'll say it, you can't find any Christian website that supposedly interprets dreams, or those experiences. They don't have any scientific data. They don't have any biological data. They don't have any brain scans or anything to prove it. And I'm always going to go back to that. So sorry for the rant, but
no. That's actually funny, because I've actually asked somebody, when your deity rested on the Sabbath, did your deity dream? And I get some funny answers, but no, I'm thinking the same thing.
That's a really good question.
Sabbath hasn't happened.
That's a really good
right. But I was talking to I won't say his name on here, but I was talking to somebody who agreed that the deity was omnipresent, and said the same thing, right, Justin, that the Sabbath hadn't happened yet because it's a misinterpretation by humans, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, well, if your deity is omniscient, right, then it's planting the seed and eating the apple of that tree that seed would produce eventually, simultaneously. So it's saying, let there be light, while light already existed. So in that sense, which they agreed, it's already experiencing the Sabbath while it's creating the earth simultaneously. But which was a mic drop, of course. That's a pop the collar. No, Josh, I know you tickled us a little bit with the demon sitting on your chest, looking you in the eyes, holding you down, keeping you from getting up, sitting, preparing the shit, maybe even telling you, narrating the shit out of itself. But it's narrating the shit. But the reason I wanted to kind of go back to that is because like my wife actually talks about her sleep paralysis, and I feel shitty a lot of the time, because she's screaming at the top of her lungs. She can hear the TV or whatever shitty thing I'm watching, and she can hear all of it. She can hear I'm going in the fridge or whatever it is, and she knows she's awake. She just can't open her eyelids, and she can't fucking move. And she'll be screaming as hard as she can, top of her lungs, but she's not making any noise. So I'm just looking at her like she's asleep, and I'm completely ignorant to she's akin to banging on a door as hard as she can to somebody help her wake up, or not wake up, but somebody help her break this whatever you want to call it, sleep paralysis, to be technical, right?
But there's no breaking it.
She says that she feels the weight on the chest as well, but she doesn't see a demon or anything like that, or some kind of a figure.
Because there was, if you look at sleep paralysis, there's multiple different sleep paralysis, as you can see, between Xavier, between Ari, and between me. There's many different types of sleep paralysis. And for instance, the ones that just wake up but they can't move or anything like that, that is just, well, there are many explanations for it, but one is that the person themselves are awake, but their body is still asleep. So that's the reason why it's not necessarily working as well as it should be, because their body, they're awake, but at the same exact time they're asleep. It's they're in between the I guess you can say the conscious and unconscious in a sense. But when you have a sort of like Ari's point, where she's actually seeing something in the amount of stress. The more stress that the person is under, the more sort of vivid, or not vivid, that's not the word I'm looking for, but you can see it clear and clear and clear until it's literally like at your bed type of thing. But that's because it's based on the stress. So not only are you in the realm of sleep, but because you're in that realm of like half sleep, half awakeness, you can have illusions of seeing individuals that are there. Now, the difference with the demon aspect is that the person can't necessarily the person is with between these two realms of conscious and unconsciousness, but at the same exact time they have an underlying illness. So what that means is that they might have cardiac issues or whatever. So seeing that demon that's there, your body is pushing your mind into such an illusory state that you're actually seeing something that is terrifying you, because in reality you know that you're about to have a heart attack or something towards that extent. So your body chooses, or your mind creates, a entity in order to show you that there's seriously something wrong with your body and that you should go and check it out, type of thing. And so that's
And
one of the
and that kind of made me think as well. Do you think that people are ever seeing themselves outside of their bodies when they're sleeping? You know, that's the kind of the last point here I wanted to touch on is, you know, I've talked to a few different people, and I have to say I've heard some, not to be rude, you know, but I'll be fucking rude. Fuck it.
go ahead.
I've heard some crazy, outlandish claims about, you know, out of body experiences, where they're going to sleep and they'll leave their body and go to the library and study for that fucking exam, or something like this. They'll, hey, I'm starting a new job tomorrow, and let me go to sleep, and then I'll just walk there, and that way I can, you know, find where the building is, and that way when I wake up I don't need Google Maps or whatever the fuck, you know. I'll go peek in on my family member who I haven't seen. I'll just do it in my sleep, and I'll just, you know, get a sleep Uber or whatever the fuck. Now, I've heard all types of just crazy claims, you know, and I try to be open minded and hear them out, and then we go through, of course, the epistemology. But and that's not to talk shit on anyone here who's about to say, "Oh, wait, I experienced this," right? But I'm just gonna be honest. I mean, um, I hear these things, and I'm very skeptical. I shut them down immediately, maybe even not giving them the time of day that maybe they should get, just to out of, you know, being fair. But have any of you either experienced an out of body experience, or have you had a discussion with someone who's claimed to have an out of body experience? And if so, kind of walk me through that.
So I've both actually.
Oh, okay. Well,
I've had many discussions with people, but with my lucid dreaming, I have induced out of body experience while lucid dreaming, because I can literally do whatever the fuck I want. I'm not saying that I was actually out of my body, but I was dreaming of me waking up in my soul, if you will. That's what you want to call it. My soul left my body, and I stand up and I turn around, and I'm sitting there staring at myself, and I'm like, man, you are knocked the fuck out. And then I just go flying around everywhere and just, you know, do shit as my soul instead of my actual body. But yeah, I've had some talks with people that have said that they've that they've had procedures to where they were put down and it was like getting their teeth removed, like their wisdom teeth or some shit, and they'll like realize that they didn't notice it when they were awake, but after they were done, they'd leave their body and be hovering above their body, and they could tell that there was like a red book on top of a top shelf that they normally couldn't have seen, something like that.
Right.
I was like, and they're like, this is how I know God's real, is because of this. And I'm like, how do you even make a correlation here? Like, I'm not even saying causation. Like, how do you even correlate that this equals God. And if it does, which God? Because we have people all around the world making claims about near-death experiences. Some of them have a near-death experiences and go see Jesus. Some of them have a near-death experience and go see Allah. If I try and lucid dream tonight, I will have a near-death experience and I will go see the flying spaghetti monster. Like,
all right, whatever's in the right.
So if
Yeah, sure.
If I could just jump in here real quick, and the I shared earlier that I've been in like at least 5, I think it might be 6 near fatal car accidents, and the one in 2003 was terrible. I got T-boned by a dump truck.
Fuck.
And I was driving a little Dodge Neon.
SRT4.
My body was mangled. I was in ICU for 2 weeks, something like that. I was on brain scans, chest scans. I coded out 3 different times. They had to resuscitate me, and it was bad. It was terrible. I am very, very lucky, very, very fortunate to still be here after that accident. That being said, I hear all of these people, talk about, oh, when I die, and I had this after life experience or near death experience or out of body experience. I literally 3 different times I essentially died. Like, heart was done, like I was gone. I can tell you that I never saw a light. I never saw a God. I never saw family members that had passed before me. I didn't see a big black dark hole that was leading me to hell. I didn't see Satan. I didn't see demons. It just stopped. Like, just everything just fucking stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then when I was resuscitated and the heart started again and I started breathing again, it was just like everything. It was like somebody hit a pause button and then everything started again. There was nothing in between that. So when I hear those claims, it's like, and I know those are, going to be, well, those are all personal experience. Well, if I'm as an atheist, if I'm really doing the work of the devil, wouldn't he have been there waiting for me?
Wouldn't you see fire and brimstone?
3 times. I literally I died, or was on death's doorstep anyway. 3 different times. I didn't experience anything. Like, shouldn't I have been at least close to hell? I'm kind of a shitty guy at that point.
Were you?
No,
did it feel like a dream?
No, it's literally the first time I don't remember. If I'm going to be completely honest, the first time I coded out, I don't remember at all. I was in the ambulance, and I don't remember. But the other 2 times, I remember very clearly. One time I was on the phone with my dad, and I coded out. And the other time I was talking to a nurse, and I coded out. All I remember is coding out. Like, I remember being on the phone and then gone with my dad. I remember talking to the nurse and then I wake up. That's all I remember. It was like literally somebody hit the pause button on my life and then it restarted. That's all I remember.
Yeah, you're making me remember when I was younger. I actually drowned twice, two separate occasions, and I saw ketchup, I saw a penguin, and I saw just random fucking things from TV shows and whatever, and then just blackness, and then waking up to a bunch of faces peering over me, explaining that I drowned, and just piggybacking on what you said, I wasn't jumping in rain puddles or hopscotch on clouds or anything like this, or any of those things. Now, could you, Oz, go on the Oprah show and say that you saw, Jesus and you were in heaven, and write a book and people would buy it? Sure, you could do that, but you're being honest. You're being honest and saying that's not what happened. So you're not making a quick buck off of the credulity of other people. But Josh or Adri or X, have you guys ever, had a dream to where you had a quote unquote out of body experience, or have you ever talked to somebody that,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
other than Justin now explaining, saying that they had an out of body experience, and how did that conversation go? Or
Well, for me, I've had conversations with individuals who did say that they had out of body experiences, and for me, I find it. I'm not saying that it's impossible because the mind is still a very complex thing. So I can't say that they are delusional because I haven't had their experiences. But the thing is that knowing through the amount of surgeries that I've went through in my past, where I had to be put under and stuff like that, I know. Well, I know through my experience that there's no out of body experiences which can happen. But I can kind of understand where they might come from because when you're near death, right, the body sometimes, or the brain, I should say, sometimes tries to save itself, the last gasps of the brain before the brain either ends or it continues to live, in a sense.
Yeah,
And
releases more endorphins.
exactly, so it releases more endorphins, and through unleashing these endorphins, you hallucinate. Now, the hallucination can be very vivid, and you might think that you're having an out of body experience, absolutely. But at the same exact time, it's probably a hallucination because even though that you might think, because remember, even
mm,
though that you're out, you are still hearing people on the outside, so
hmm
automatically you can believe or you can think that you're having an out of body experience because you're hearing multiple, let's just say, people talking around you, even though that you're not necessarily awake because you're passed out or near death, but you can still hear these people, and henceforth your body creates the illusion that you are seeing the masses of people who are around you. But we've already seen experiments which tried to show out of body experiences near death in hospitals, and all of them were proved to be false. That these individuals, those who said that they did, really didn't have an out of body experience at all. So
Mm.
it's very difficult for me to say, you had a body out of body experience because we already had tests, we've already had experiments based on this, and all the tests and experiments say that it's false.
I love it when Josh is talking because it's almost like you get a POV video of like you laying on his countertop, like his kitchen countertop, and he's just looking down, lecturing at you. I love when Josh talks.
down from the mountain. No, that's when you're talking about the experiments. Yeah, I mean that's something that I brought up, and they got very, very, very fucking offended, very offended, and I don't do any. I mean, people should know by now. Anyone watching, I don't do this to offend people. I don't bring people on to make them feel silly or get some kind of ego stroke out of this. I'm all about epistemology, right? So when I bring up, yes, somebody claimed that they were having out of body experiences. They had some type of a surgery or whatever the fuck it was. They put a light or a shape or a number, some kind of thing on the ceiling that during the operation, and then they took it away. When they brought him back out, they asked him if they could identify whatever shape it was or whatever, and they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. And they said, well, this would be something we would think you'd be able to see. You said you could do this, and then we're asking you, you were flying around the room. How did you not see this big fucking Mario face that we put up or whatever the fuck it was? It just kind of, it doesn't add to any credibility to what you're saying. So when I bring that up, that these are tests that they do all the time, and they're not fruitful. What do you have to say about that? They just get very offended, and I get kind of this, I'm trying to dunk on them or make or bash their beliefs or whatever it is. And it's like, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to ask you, have you been able to, if you're having an out of body experience, can you come over to my house and are you able to interact with anything? I mean, you're saying you're going to the library and reading books, but can you come over to my house and ring my doorbell? Or I mean, this would be at 10 p.m. Can you come to my house and ring my doorbell, and I'll know it was fucking you because we agreed to it, or whatever. Um, and anytime I kind of pressed them for that type of thing, they just kind of back out of the conversation. But
Well,
um,
because I think that it's difficult, right? Because they believe that they're having an experience. Now, that experience they think is real because it's real to them. But as soon as you start bringing in evidence, or you start bringing in like, oh, okay, well, here's the science. This is what the science says. Now, all of a sudden, people are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But I had the experience. You can't tell me what experience I had. And it's like, you're right. I can't say that you didn't feel that you were flying around the
Right,
moon. Or
right. And oh
sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. So
no,
I can understand why people get upset because it's kind of like you're shitting on my experience. But the thing is that that's
no.
not what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is state that you were probably underneath a sort of hallucination, which made you feel that you were having
Oh,
an
so you're
out-of-body.
telling me I'm crazy?
That's it. That's it. And
Yeah.
that's
And
what I feel like.
I've heard that too. Yep. And I
Here-
never said
here's
that.
yeah, exactly, Mike. I never said you're crazy.
But
I may
that's
think that. But I didn't say it. I didn't say
but
that.
exactly.
But here's and I actually I just had a conversation with a gentleman today, and actually one yesterday with a gal that wanted to tell me how demonic I am because I'm an atheist, and we had that conversation.
Oh yeah.
And it's and I tell
There
each
we
and
go.
every one of them, like your personal experience, like I have no desire to take your personal experience away from you. Like that's your personal experience, just like I've had personal experiences in other areas. But your personal experience is only real and valid to you. It only demonstrates evidence or proof or whatever validation for your belief to you. But then when we start to break it down, we have to dig a little bit deeper. Like personal experience does not equate to the or demonstrate the existence of a god or a supernatural or an extraordinary claim. Like you don't get to just say, well, I felt this thing or I experienced this thing, so therefore it's real. Because if we actually want to do that now, because we had a dream show tonight, we're talking about dreams, well then that means that dream that I had where there's tarantulas and scorpions and all these other poisonous bugs coming to my bedroom, that shit was real. Why? Because I experienced it.
Hell yeah.
I experienced it. It's real. I don't give a fuck what you say. It's real because I experienced it. But guess what? I can't prove that to anybody else. I can only tell you about it. Just like the Gospels. The Gospels can only tell you about an experience. You didn't see it. There's no evidence.
And that's where I get upset. I get extremely upset because I despise enemies of reason, right? So if I despise enemies of reason. So if you know that you really can't justify your subjective experience, sure, it's your dream. No one has access to your fucking brain. But once you start trying to, let's say, write a book or trying to make money off of somebody else or trying to entice others into specific thought patterns or behavior or getting them to change their lives in a specific way, all based off of subjective information that has no evidence to support it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's when I look at you as an enemy of reason. So it's one thing to think the clouds are made out of marshmallow. It's another to say that the marshmallow cloud wants you to be a vegetarian or something like this. When you start giving dictates and things like this, that's kind of where I start having a problem with it. And the people typically that I've come across, I'll speak for my own personal experience, who have these out of body experiences, they usually correlate that with being duck goosed, right? They're the goose that's been tapped by Jesus to have the hotline to the special information, and they can travel between our reality and the heaven and bring back,
Wait, I thought
whatever
that was
information
free.
God wants.
And here's the thing.
Yeah.
I feel like I've earned the right to say these kind of things because even just was it yesterday, the day before, I took a screenshot, and sent it to the other 4 guys that are a part of TART, because we're at this point we're like family, the Atheist Roundtable, and for whatever fucking reason, my religious family or former friends in that community believe that they still need to include me on their group texts, right? I don't know why. I don't. They know my stance. They know I clearly don't believe what they believe. And
I can see it. I can see it.
Yesterday, the day before, I get a text message. And I was in the middle of doing new hire training at work, so I couldn't really pay much attention to what was going on. Finally, when we had a break, I got my phone, opened my phone, and there, oh, God, fucking A. I get a text thread, and it has like family members and old friends, and it's it's so embarrassing almost. They had. One of our family members went into like just have a normal, like nothing crazy, just this normal medical procedure to make sure everything's healthy. All the body parts are healthy, right? Like there was no walking into it. There was no like, oh, they might have cancer or they might have it was just a normal procedure.
It's a checkup.
Yes. Yeah. Oh. And then the text thread goes through. And I kid you not, at least 30 texts, 40 texts before I jump into it. And it's like, oh, praise be to God. Oh, Jesus heals. Oh, the devil was defeated. Oh, our prayers were answered. Oh, the Holy Ghost showed up. Oh, the proctologist didn't know shit. And I'm like, what? What just happened?
Did you comment to it?
Jesus. That's what happened.
Justin, you know me.
I
Jesus.
You know me. You know me. Of course I commented. And guess what? When I commented,
reply all.
Nothing else happened. Nothing else
killed
happened.
the thread.
Yeah, I killed it. I killed it in one message.
He responded, no, he wasn't. The devil was not defeated. The devil is in this thread. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
No, actually, I text 2 words and it stopped everything. I text "Go Science."
Go Science. Hell yeah.
I mean, high five a doctor. Hashtag high five a doctor. I mean, fuck, bro.
But the reason I say the reason I say all that is because that's how fucking absurd and like I'm not like this part of me is like there is a angry Oz. Don't get me wrong. There's a fucking and Justin's heard it. There is a angry Oz. This Oz is the complete. Oh yeah, I forgot, Mike. You saw a little bit of it. But this is the like completely frustrated and
yes,
just flabbergasted. That are you like you went in for a doctor's appointment, bro? That's it.
But Jesus
That's it.
does save.
What'd you say? You're talking to a pillow.
Jesus does save, my friend.
Oh,
when you go into a doctor's appointment, so just in case you don't have like a ruptured colon or something, that's Jesus.
I always like those pictures where you got the surgeon sitting there with the scalpel in his hand, and Jesus is like grabbing his forearm, like, please let Jesus guide this doctor. Like, yeah, because fuck the 12 years of school and the $300,000 he is in debt to learn how to do this shit. Let's make it so that Jesus makes it so he does it right.
All right, so
I always say the only thing Jesus saves is I always say the only thing Jesus saves is face.
Well, and foreskin. He loves foreskin in the Bible.
And foreskin. He loves that foreskin. Yes, he loves it. He
has a little necklace of foreskin, just kind of.
If Adrian, you're trying to talk your music.
He's got a foreskin mask.
He's got Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John's foreskin around his necklace.
No.
Is she talking to us, or because you're muted, we can't hear you?
Me?
Oh,
No, I'm
hold
not
up.
muted.
No, Adri.
You're muted.
I have you unmuted. I have you unmuted now.
You muted me, sir?
We're
talking about foreskin.
to believe
And then she's rubbing.
it is much cheaper to believe in foreskin than Jesus.
2 thumbs up.
I'm just saying.
Hell yeah.
2
I'm
thumbs
just
up.
saying.
What did you
2
say? We
thumbs
love
up.
foreskin and Jesus.
She said it's easier
I love foreskin.
easier to prove foreskin than it is Jesus. This is a mic drop.
I like her already. I like her already. We're not talking about dreams or anything. We're just talking about foreskin.
Yes.
Now we're all gonna have a nightmare about a hefty bag full of foreskins.
It's 11:42 right now. I'm gonna have to wait an hour to go to bed, so I'm not dreaming about foreskins and people shitting on my chest.
Foreskin. Let me see what all about it tomorrow.
We should have a recap episode with all of us in here and figure out how many one of us had night terrors about people shitting on their chests.
All about foreskin. I'll tell you, it's great. You know what? Don't get rid of it. Leave it on there.
I can tell you now, as a comic relief now, after having very serious dialogue about lucid dreams and nightmares and night terrors and insomnia and all of those things.
Totally.
I can tell you, I really don't have nightmares anymore, but probably if there's 7 days in a week, probably 4 or 5 of those days of the week, I have dreams where I'm just having great fucking sex, like in dreams. So it's been a great replacement.
You should. You know,
Like
anybody that
like
has
that dream where you never end.
See, lately I've been having dreams to where I actually beat Donald Trump in the presidential elections because I don't have any sexual allegations against me.
Well, and guess what? Just
I don't know what your I don't know what your political views are,
Third
but
party libertarian.
fulfill all of your views, all of them. Just fulfill them. Be a happy human being. That's it. That's
what the goal is. Getting better at getting better.
She's became one of my favorite human beings. Just talk to her.
100%. We're actually going to have Adriana on more often going forward. I have a couple other projects that we're going to be setting up. Guys, this has been great. Justin, Josh, Adriana, Xavier, and Oz. I really, really fucking appreciate it. I want to let everybody know that we appreciate you guys watching. I know this is one of the longer episodes that we did, but of course we have 6 people on. We haven't done that before. I wanted to get all these topics touched on. So hopefully any of this has been helpful or useful to any of you. I know we made jokes. We also had some serious moments there where we kind of touched on some things that are maybe a little bit embarrassing to us individually, but hopefully, again, that was to some benefit. We do plan on doing a Distant Minds episode 3 coming next month in October. If you haven't caught the first 2 episodes, just basically delving into aliens and shit like that. So keep an eye out for that. I kind of wanted to go around the room really quick if anyone had any last thoughts or any last comments they'd like to make before we part ways.
It was so amazing to meet you guys. You know, I really hope to meet you and talk to you, Justin, Josh, Ozzy, you know, Xavier, especially Xavier. You know, you guys are in my heart, and I really hope to talk to you again sometime in the near future.
Sure. Yeah, we'll get you a day scheduled to come on the EA show and do an interview with you.
Good.
Yeah. And I see ghosts. All right.
Awesome.
Guys,
Anyone else?
So I'll go really quick. TART.live. So TART.live. That's our website for the I got to do the pasta mic. The Atheist Roundtable. Go check us out. We have merch and everything on there. We're adding some more segments on there, and we got some things coming up. Some interesting new little side shows on the side. And Josh just keeps speaking through a pillow. I have no idea what he's saying right now. But I am because I'm starting to get a little tipsy. I'm just gonna say in the next couple intros that you hear at the Atheist Roundtable, yours truly is dropping bars on the intro, dropping bars.
Damn straight.
Like candy bars.
Hey, we might have to get together. I used to do a thing back in the day.
So, dropping
all right.
bars.
Guys,
and just mute,
this has been a
Dropping bars. It sounds like we're talking about shitting on chests again.
Just mute Justin because he's going to deal with.
You're gonna you're gonna drop some bars to the sound of someone dropping a beat on your chest. No, I'm kidding. Max, did you have anything? X, did you have anything that you wanted to say really quick before we parted ways?
Have a great night. You can follow me on TikTok, Xavier3121. Peace.
Got you.
And now,
Okay.
I'm
gonna put that in the chat. Is it Xavier 3121?
Hell yeah.
damn,
I challenge X. I challenge X to a drum off. What?
no, fuck.
Hey, X, let's start. X, let's start duetting each other's videos. I'll duet your TikToks, you duet mine.
Damn
X.
Oh, well, you may find some video. So if you wanted to duet one of those videos,
Okay, I'll get to it.
you'll see.
Hey, X. First, Justin. If we're talking about TikTok, first Justin actually has to make fucking videos before he can do it.
I have a lot.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
True.
That's what we like. That's what we like.
Because I got
We need to make a TikTok. I don't know. I might.
Didn't you just start your own TikTok recently?
What's that?
Didn't you just start your own TikTok recently? Because I just today.
No. I have two. I have one that's at like I have one that's like 700 or 800 followers, and I have another one that's like 8,000. So get on my level, bruh.
Yeah, well, this is just like the 500 claiming
Get on my
themselves
level
from the dead. Let me see some evidence.
Get on my level, bruh. Over there drinking that water, bruh.
It's okay. I've been focusing on my show, not getting shut down by God due to the.
He's the only sober one.
I love you, Justin.
All right. And on that note, you guys have a great fucking evening. This is Mike Carey with The One Good Reason. Be on the lookout. We're gonna have another episode coming soon. But thank you guys again. Really appreciate the support.
Love you guys.
It was all a dream. Take care.
Bye.